Harvard Law Professor Laurence Tribe recently penned an op-ed calling for the United States Department of Justice to prosecute Donald Trump, or hey, at the very least, investigate what Donald Trump did to try to overturn the results of the 2020 election. And in an interview with Chauncey de Vega from Salon.com, Tribe mentioned that if the DOJ does not do this, then what's the point? If they don't do this, there is no rule of law in the United States, he says. Essentially, if they don't do this, nothing really matters and it's all just pretend. Which, by the way, is something I have been saying for months now. The DOJ has an obligation as the nation's top law enforcement agency to look into the claims that Donald Trump had considered using the military to stay in power, that his friends at the DOJ were actively trying to get states to overturn their election results, that he wanted, based on the phone calls we know that he made to Brad RAF Hunsberger down there in the state of Georgia, telling them, just go find the votes, take care of this, handle this. Yeah, that all seems like the kind of thing that should warrant a federal investigation. And I know we've got grand juries impaneled down there in the state of Georgia looking into this, but we don't have action on the federal level because Merrick Garland, Attorney General, apparently just doesn't seem too concerned about it. Oh, let's just let the states handle it. No. These are things that the federal government needs to do because the public needs to have their faith in these institutions restored. Because if you don't do this, and this is coming from experience, things are going to get worse. When the Obama administration came into office, we had plenty of evidence of war crimes committed and condoned by the very top of the former Bush administration. The torture memo from John Yoo, Alberto Gonzales signing off on these torture methods, we had them cold, and we could have prosecuted them then. We could have taken a bold stance and said, this is not how things operate. We're going to make sure that nothing like this happens again. We're going to prosecute you. We're not going to let you people go free, and we're going to send a message to the rest of the country, to future politicians, that you can't get away with doing whatever the hell you want when you're the president of the United States. But instead, Attorney General Eric Holder, with Obama backing him, said, we're going to look forward, not backwards. That is specifically what they said with regard to why they weren't going to prosecute the Bush administration. So what happened there? Things got worse. The Republican Party got more extreme, and that is what helped give us Donald Trump. So if we do not take his threat to our country seriously, if he is not held accountable in some way for what he did, then we're opening up the door to something even worse. And that something even worse could be in the form of a second Trump term where he does decide to go it a step further. Even though he'd be term limited, maybe he decides, you know what, I'm not ready to leave. Maybe there's too much of an emergency here in the United States and I'm just going to use the military. We don't know how all this ends, folks. But what we have seen from history of the United States in just the last 20 years is that if there is no accountability, things always get worse. And I'm not willing to take that chance again, but unfortunately, I'm not in a position to do anything about it. The DOJ is. And Merrick Garland has an obligation to this country, to his oath of office, to at least look into some of these potential crimes that Trump pretty obviously committed.